to John.
Thank you for coming back to In the Shadow of Fire. This is session number 6, entitled Tides of War. We're just picking up from where we left off last session, in the middle of a conversation, which strange revelation, which may or may not be true, was unfolded. So we are back in the keep, if I recall correctly.
I'm at the port.
You are at the port,
Yes,
and
one of us is at the port, the rest of us are in the keep.
Leaf is not
That's-
present either.
That is true. What is Leaf doing, out of curiosity?
Great
Kevin?
question. What is Leaf doing?
Wasn't I with you when we went over the bridge, though? But, you know, after I got back, I guess you're saying you're not inviting me into the palace? Is that what you're saying?
I'm trying to remember, was Leaf there or was he not?
He's nursing his wounds from the sparring.
I believe that the conversation happened during the meeting, which he was not invited to, and you specifically made a point to notate that.
Yeah, but I thought when we actually left, they did bring me with them. And we went to...
Right, on the return
across
back.
The bridge.
That's a good question. Would Leaf have been brought along back to the keep, or would he have been kept out?
I would have invited him to the port, because he's my friend.
That's right. We are definitely friends. You know what, though? I'm confused. I thought we hadn't really ended with at the point that you guys think we ended. I thought we ended...
Oh, no, you're right. You were actually with them when they returned. You went back to the keep, and Leaf, you were present when you entered back into the throne room when El Contra changed clothes and then changed back into the same outfit. And then they said, "Oh, that," and you're like, "I could do something like that." I remember. Yeah, you're there.
So it's still the same day, yeah?
Yes, it's still the same.
Okay, so I have
Same
one more.
conversation.
I have one more port and troll. It's a 16.
I remember there was a discussion of how were we going to get the schism knife back from Eris Nodal.
Well, it wasn't a schism knife, it was a schism
All the stuff.
stuff in general.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it didn't...
because-
I thought it...
Well, no, the
included
knife is made from the
Yeah.
schism.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, it wasn't
elder
just a-
version.
It wasn't just the schism
Yeah,
knife, it
and
was all
the
schism
adamantine
stuff.
ball.
Yeah.
Because the...
It's a cylinder.
The Nardassi...
Sorry, I don't know why in my
Wanted
head canon
it
it's a
back.
ball.
Right?
What was that, Kevin?
It's a Pokeball.
Yes, they want it back, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
At the minimum, we have to say something to Eris Nodal about it and say this is one of their terms.
If so, real quick, sorry. Point of order. The second that Cyril says that, I don't think it's going to happen. You see Ulaire's face kind of, and he walks out.
Was that the guy from the Nardassi guy?
That was
Well, no-
Tim's character.
So I think that,
Okay.
yeah.
Character. Right.
and then Tim saw the sort of the person who's older but looks really like him.
Tim's the one who's saying that they need to recover the blade and the cylinder and return it back to the Nadrasi, because that is kind of is contingent on you being able to set up shop with military forces on the island.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't think Tim had thought that much yet about the whole "that guy looks kind of like him" thing.
No,
yet.
no worries. Don't worry about that. It's again his conversation with himself to have. The main point of order is the second that Cyril basically puts up a confrontational, I don't think that's going to happen situation to what he basically put on the table as needing to happen, he leaves.
Right.
I mean, maybe it will happen, but it's not as easy as it seems. I'm just trying to be realistic.
He's already gone.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just explaining my thinking.
Oh yeah, I figured.
Well, Zero, I know it is not as easy as it seems, but maybe I could attempt it at the very least.
To use your relationship with Lady Aristotle to pave the way.
That is right.
Okay, well, that's an idea.
I mean, what is the worst that could happen?
You die.
So do you remember the conversation that we had right at the end of the last game? Because the worst thing that could happen would be that Aristotle is not the Aristotle who went to the island. You catch up to them by yourself. Your relationship doesn't mean dick shit because she's been in disguise this whole time and murders you because you're all alone. That's the worst thing that could happen.
That's
Right,
bad.
You've already brought that up
die.
in character at the end of the last session. Like, just
That
to
sounds
remind
pretty,
you.
pretty concise.
Yeah.
Makes
Dick
sense.
shit. Yeah.
So maybe you shouldn't go by yourself.
Well, I
That's
know
right,
one
bring
person
some
that would
other
go with
person
me.
with you.
Quothus would definitely go with me. But if I go
Well,
alone,
you can certainly ask him.
my plan would be, if that were the case, as Halo mentioned, it would be to escape, to try to evade. But it may be too late. I understand what you're saying. That is very risky. Could be very risky. Maybe somebody could think of a better idea. Maybe
I mean,
we
of
could send a
course-
message.
Well, I was going to say the other thing we could do is wait and see if that portal opens soon, and if it does, hopefully it actually does lead to the Captain Lady's Aristotle, but I feel like that is a bit of a riskier plan.
So if the Nadrasi don't want us to have a contingent of defenses on their island, and they are invaded from the other side of the Dwarf Road, what then?
Oh yeah, just they did say that they were willing to have our troops be deployed there, just that we couldn't stay there once things cleared up, basically.
Okay.
They'll
So-
let us set up defenses if we return the schism that was stolen from the island.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's a different thing though, because don't you think it's in their interest to have more defenses there to protect their land from the dwarfish
Seems
incursion?
like their civilization has a different set of priorities than just self-preservation. It seems like maintaining what's on the island, staying on the island, is more important than their own survival.
Yeah, and I mean the whole Rended Isles set up basically as sort of protecting the Fae and the secrets of the Fae. So I imagine possibly those on the Nadrasi Isle, if they are elves from the Rended Isle, have a similar outlook. It's just that theirs might be slightly more isolated to their particular part of the world.
It's like there's a schism between the two ideologies.
Right.
I never understood why you named it that, John.
But now you do.
So clear. Okay.
Maybe we could start with a royal message, or a message from Lady Elcontra to Aristotle, and see what that, the results of that are.
We don't have anyone in the city who can do sending, and we don't have a definitive way of getting a bird to Lady Aristotle. We might be able to get to the capital, because I think we discussed this all last
Yeah.
time, right?
We did discuss
We-
this all
yeah.
last time.
Yeah.
You were beating me up for not having a higher level wizard.
Yeah. We don't have any way of messaging them directly, so we can try and run them down on horseback, or we can try and send a message to the capital ahead of them. Those are really our only two options. We don't have a way of contacting the lady directly.
Well, if we need to win a duel, though, we do have Cyril. So
Mhm. That's right.
that is true. He may not be able to do sending, but he can do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Hater's gonna hate.
So then the question is, what necessarily do we do?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, here's a question, John. Since this is kind of a port city, and I imagine goods come through, does that include magical goods, aka scrolls or something like that?
No.
Because I think that was that was something else that I know we discussed, getting a scroll of sending and then having.
Wait
Yeah.
a minute, guys.
So-
How many
Try
people are
casting
in
it.
our town? Somebody has to be able to cast sending in this town.
Not
We just-
necessarily.
You know what? It's a little late now, but we should have just said, "Hey, we know this person who actually can cast sending, and he's the one who does it for El Contra because she's
Larry the
ruler of
wizard.
town."
Yeah, Larry
That's
the
what we
wizard.
should have
yeah.
done. That would have been a good
So I know a
what's the word
guy.
I'm looking for,
So- Again, the I know a guy situation works when the guy that you may know wouldn't already have their seat filled or their role in the town filled by someone in the party already. So if you're like, we know a powerful wizard, and the most powerful wizard is supposed to be Andy's character, then we have a problem in that
Alright.
Andy will
Right.
basically get ousted, and the new wizard will
He's
basically
the
be.
duelist.
We'll go ahead and shift the Brady Bunch over so that it's the dad, and then Andy will just be off the map, and he'll be like,
Yeah.
Marsha, Marsha,
Well,
Marsha,
other
or
things
something.
And wizards can cast sending though. I believe a bunch of them. Can't clerics cast it too?
So that would be great too if your holy leader wasn't currently.
Man, we screwed ourselves, guys.
I mean, we didn't
What about
necessarily
mayor?
screw ourselves. I don't think the mayor's trained in anything from the background that was given to me.
Oh well, that's okay, guys. I'm just saying that was an idea. We can still do that later on for other things, but yeah, I think maybe don't have the opportunities I thought we might have.
No,
all right.
Yeah, no, that's why I was asking about the
two
control,
options in front of us. Like I said, we can, or we have three options realistically. We can send a letter to the capital and hope it gets there before the Lady Aristotle arrives with everything that we know or think. We can try and run her down on horseback, either sending you out by yourself, Leaf, or sending a group of us out together. Or we can do nothing, wait until the teleportation circle opens, hope to God that it opens to the capital in our city and not somewhere else.
Right. And as I've said, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of option number.
In character, Halo is for option 3. Because he's a fucking man of faith. I have no reason to be paranoid or suspicious. But I'm also not going to speak against the paranoia. Because blind faith is a bad argument.
So it sounds like all of the options have been kind of presented to you, Lady Alcantara, and this current organization of individuals is, you just had a long day of travel, well, half a day of travel. Do you want to dismiss these individuals and be done with the day?
So, I think
This isn't a democracy.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I personally think that the thing that makes the most amount of sense is someone, if it's just, I hate the idea of it just being one person trying to catch up somehow. But again, I don't like the idea of it just being one person. Because that's just silly.
That's a fair statement.
Lady, if you are truly concerned, I say let Leaf go, and I shall travel with him. My size will allow me to stay relatively concealed on his person, and we could take one single horse to ride there. It'd be our best bet of catching them.
Leaf, if you're present, you would know that the company that you saw leaving were riding out on Ronin, which are the Summer Elf horses, the greatest of all the steeds under unicorns only. There's no way you're catching anyone on any horses.
Well, I used to have friends who had favors with unicorns, but that's a different story. So I cannot rely on that for our travels. So, I'm gonna strum a couple notes while I'm thinking.
I didn't realize their whole battalion was on horses.
Yeah.
Their whole battalion didn't go. It was just the primary detachment, her and because remember they don't all come back.
If we went, we would be behind her, and so we would show up maybe a day or two later. I think. I don't know if this is acceptable to our plan.
The other option, my lady, that I don't believe has been discussed is making contact with the dwarves.
That is a true case. Although potentially also just as or more risky than waiting to see who comes through that portal. But it's not a bad suggestion either.
Here for ideas. Not for conviction.
Meanwhile, at the ports, there's a knock on your door. Dun 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 dun.
I have all my guards see to the door.
You see him kind of look through a peephole, look over to you, and he says, "It's Captain Filtz."
Send him in.
The door opens. A gentleman in a very Pompadourian kind of outfit, just flagrantly over the top. Definitely a fancy Dan. Kind of steps into the lodging, looks to you, and says, "My lord, the ship has been made ready with the dwarven accoutrement that you wish to have added onto it. We are prepared to take down any ships even of greater size, if so needed."
Excellent. How proficient are the crew with the ballistas?
Oh, they're not the best, but I'm sure with my strict scolding, it will only be a couple of 6 days before they are prepared.
Excellent. How could we better supply the crew to practice with the munitions and with the cannons?
Well, we have two gentlemen who are familiar with it a bit, but not terribly so. They have been trying to teach the others how to load, and they are presenting themselves as the primary gunners of the weapons. But it would seem that with them being the most proficient and also accurate, that it would be unlikely that we would require either of them to be removed from the larger weapons. The smaller weapons are not too much different from a crossbow, so they are fine at handling them.
I wish the two men that are proficient, the most proficient, to take apprentices at the time. If we lose any of those men, that means we lose those cannons.
The crew is only capable of being 16 strong. If you are to have a full complement of guests upon your yacht as you planned, if not, then we can up the crew size by a number anywhere between 0 and 12.
I just wish to have additional men cross-trained on all munitions.
I understand. I will make sure that at least one individual is present with each of the two proficient gunners. And if it is the case, then only 10 guests would be allowed, including yourself, upon the yacht, if you wish to go and see out into the world with this vessel, since it has been made ready, I presume, for some sort of conflict.
Conflict if we need resolution through force. I hope not.
Well, we are prepared to sell at a moment's notice, and of course, Captain.
Sorry to interrupt, but how is the merriment for the men?
Yeah,
How did they fare? Are
they are
tired?
kind of excited about these new toys that have been placed upon your yacht. It has been a while since you have taken to sea, and so they are a little happy to see that it might be the case that they will be allowed to go out in your magnificent vessel, if it is your wish. But as of right now, the men are filled with food and drink and are prepared for the next day, as they like to make sure that they are nice and into their cups well before it's normal bedtime for most, as they like to wake up a little bit later. But since we are prepared to leave at your moment's notice, then, well, so long as it is tomorrow, of course, for flight, then they have taken to their cups early.
Kirk, I gesture to one of the guards.
Yeah.
Could you see if you could retrieve my friend Leaf?
Do you know where he is, my lord?
The last I saw, he was going with the lady, Elantra.
I will see.
Elantra?
I will see if they will allow me to
Alcantara.
Alcantara. How much coin do I have just to kind of toss about? I mean, I assume I have some coin.
Yeah, a bit. But again, it doesn't sound like it's going to help like lubricate the process, since coin isn't really the main driving force for the lady or her loyalists.
I wanna hire Leaf to come do services for the men to play.
Sure, sure, sure. But he says, I mean, I'll bring him to you, and then you can
Okay.
go about how you want to deal with that after that.
That's excellent. Cool.
Okay. Back to the keep.
Sure, back to the keep.
Kicking him out.
Lady Alcantara, what do you say about me and Halo traveling to catch up with Lady Eris Nodal?
Well, I believe we've established that you won't catch up. But that would mean that you would have to go all the way to the capital. How long of a trip is it from here?
By
To-
water.
By
Yeah, I know. That is actually one of the things I'm trying to figure out, whether by land or by water would be faster.
So if we take a look at the map, you'll see that the map is broken up into hexagons, correct?
Right.
So in a single day, a group can move a total of 5 hexagons by road on foot. Or they can move 3 hexagons if they're moving not by road. If they are riding on Renin, like Leaf says they are, they can probably do 8 in a day. So it's most likely the case that they are already basically in the final stretch towards that, and will be there either tomorrow evening or tomorrow late afternoon.
Right.
Whereas if you
We
set off,
establish if we can get a bird there faster than that,
so I don't understand what you mean by a bird
or
there.
like I don't know.
Like
Do we
a
not have
messenger
like
pigeon.
messenger pigeons to communicate with the
Messaging
capital?
is not. This is not Game of Thrones. You hand a message to a person, and that person gets on a horse and rides it.
Okay. All right, man.
Hey, messenger pigeons are legitimate things in the real world, though.
Concurred, but
Absolutely.
using animals as slave labor is not something elves are terribly keen on. And
fair.
training them to be servants in this way are not. It's not something that they do. Renin
Yeah.
are basically asked to burden their riders, not forced to do.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah.
Yeah, and then the other question is, again, by sea. Like, if they go around.
Sure. If you go around the entirety of the island, up to the northern end, you would have the problems of dealing with potential pirates and also Alterian scouts. But you could do 5 hexes in a day on a normal sailing vessel. If you're moving on a fast sailing vessel, like Dan's character's yacht, more like 10. So his yacht could probably zip around the coast in 2 days.
I mean, that might not be the worst idea then, if we can convince Alvin to take Leaf around by sea.
Could they go by the river? Is that from Osnabel over to?
The river flows outwards in both
Oh.
directions, so it's actually not a favorable journeyways. That kind of rocky outcropping that Graculia is actually sitting upon is kind of the source for that river, and it kind of, you can see that it kind of goes through all of the rented portions.
Mhm.
The water actually flows out from those mountains, or those hills rather, high hills,
Okay.
into the sea.
I mean, that being said, you still probably could travel upstream, it would just be slower, right?
Correct. So the yacht will have 2 negatives to its speed if it enters into the river. First off, it is a sea vessel. It is not a river vessel. So it'll have to maintain its position in the deepest part of the river, and that will require slow piloting. And then also, it will be going upstream. So you would basically go from a speed of 10 out on the open sea to a speed of 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think, honestly, both as a player and as Alcantara, if we're going to send someone to the capital by land, it's probably going to be the fastest, most efficient way. So,
Traveling across the land that's not roaded, which would be the in between you directly and Graculia, because there is actually a road on the riverside. I just haven't put it down yet. That goes
Got
to
it.
Graculia, but this position there is not one. This area in between is very laden with creatures that Quothus would be keen on hunting.
right, but if they go by the road, so I just wasn't sure if there was a road there because there was.
Yeah, sorry. I'll do a quick doodle on there for it. No problem. But yeah, there is a road that's technically kind of like right on the river.
So if they take that, they'll be able to make it in 2 days, is what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, it's not necessarily ideal, and will be without Leaf and Halo for 2 days, but it might be the most efficient way right now. And hopefully, if there is the portal on the other end, they can quickly and easily come through it.
Hmm.
So hopefully it would only be 2 days journey there and then through the portal. What do we think of this?
I think it accomplishes what we need to accomplish. There is some risk, but there's risk in every one of the options.
We don't have to send me if we're going all the way to the capital. I was only suggesting because I would be able to ride the same horse as our friend Leaf. If we're going all the way there, taking 2 days ride, we could take more horses and I suppose get there just as well.
True.
Just for your lady's consideration.
So I don't want to necessarily speak for Tim, but his character is the other logical to go.
So I will state something right now. If anybody tries to make an effort to find Quothus, he's not in the place, and everyone who he's basically effectively related to states, I don't know where he went, and he's very difficult to find. So at current,
Okay.
again, the main reason for that is the same reason that you just stated, that you don't want to speak for Tim. I do not either. So Tim's character is currently dwelling in themselves, kind of wondering more about what happened at Eldrazi, and is a bit upset about what Cyril said in the meeting there.
Right. Okay, so who do we want to send? I mean, we could
volunteer
send-
to go.
Well, yes, but I mean with you. I mean,
Oh,
again,
I volunteer to go on my own. I think I will move quicker, and my friend Alo, I don't want to put him at risk. If it is a suicide mission, why kill 2 of us? You know, I want to do this. I have experience in adventuring, and it will make a great epic song when I am done. I will
Are you
call it
sure-
The Chase of Eris Nodal.
are you sure you don't at least want to send one, maybe to send like at least one of the guards with you or anything?
Real quick,
No, I
sorry.
think at this critical time, we need all the soldiers here.
Real quick, sorry, interjecting. Cyril and Halo, go ahead and make me perception checks. And as you're standing there, Alcantara, and speaking to Leaf directly, you see that behind him, kind of moving up to the group, is
Nothing.
your scribe, Sahil. And he kind of looks like he's patiently waiting for a moment to interject.
16.
Not good enough.
Wow, a critical fail.
Ooh.
Damn it.
So, like I said, you would see that Sahil is basically waiting for their turn to speak to you.
Right. Well, if you are set in this idea, I will not stop you. Although I still think you should bring a companion if you're able to.
I think going alone may be the best move on our part, but I will not I will not go against your word if you assign someone to go with me. But I think I can go alone quicker.
All right, I'm going to call the meeting there and see what the scribe has to say. Or is
Okay. Do the others leave before he speaks? Because if you kind of sound like you're ending it and letting him move, he says, actually, Leaf is mainly who I'm wishing to speak to, milady.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, I'm ending the meeting. Then I was like,
Okay.
turn to the scribe. I wasn't necessarily dismissing them.
Once you kind of direction towards him, he kind of says, my message is actually for Leaf. There is an individual named Kirk outside in the main entryway. He has been sent to speak to you and acquire you for the pleasure of one Alvin Alford.
He is a great. Alvin is a great patron. I must admit, but you will have to tell. I will go talk to him. I'll go talk to the messenger.
Of course.
Please leave.
Yep, leads you to the front. You see a bruiser who, looks like a, dock worker. He says, "You're Leaf, right? Yeah, you're Leaf.
That is true.
Let's go."
Leaf at your service.
Oh. What? Are you ready? Do you have everything you need? Just want to speak to you for a minute.
Yes. I think I would have said goodbye to the lady dismissed us.
Okay.
So,
Are you going with Kirk, or are you? It sounded like you were trying to ditch him.
I'm gonna try to talk to him first and see, see what he says. But I'm gonna
Yeah,
try to ditch him.
his conversation seems like it's very pointed. He's like, "Okay, you ready to go?" And he's like,
I would have just said, you will have to tell my friend Alvin that I am unable to entertain him tonight. I have a mission I must accomplish.
"Oh,
But tell him never fear. I will be back, and my songs will be better than ever. So, thank you." And I would bow. And
can you tell me where you're going to be?"
I will be on the road.
No. Tonight.
I will be on the road.
You're leaving now?
I'm leaving immediately. Yes.
Well, I don't think that's going to do. He really wants to speak to you. Can you maybe stop by to speak to him before you go?
Yes, I will do that. He is such a great patron of mine. I will.
All right, let's go. Like, just interjects. Just cuts you off.
I will just go with him. All right. We will do this quickly.
As you're walking off, Halo is gonna fly after you, Leaf, and as you're walking away, say, "Are you sure you want to go alone?" Like, he's kind of flying next to you as you're walking behind the guard, Kirk. I can make quick arrangements at the temple.
Hold on. How do you get his attention, though?
Who Leafs?
Yeah, how do you get his attention? Because he's not listening
I'm
to you.
a bright, shining star.
Yeah,
that flies next to him.
what do you say though? What do you say to him to get him to listen to you?
Leaf?
Yeah. Do you say anything in particular to get him to
Yeah,
listen?
I fly up next to him and I say, "Hey, listen!
Okay.
Hey, listen!" You want that?
There
You
you
had me,
go.
John?
That's all I wanted.
Made it
guys
fucking
do it.
a month.
That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted.
Without needing to fly
All
up
right,
to
guys,
someone.
I'm done with D&D for the month.
Okay. But yeah, I fly up to Leaf and privately say, "If you'd like, I can still go with you. I just need to go make quick arrangements at the temple."
And I would say, "Oh, hello, my friend. You have too much to do here, and this could just be a quick trip. So, do not worry yourself about me.
Can I
will be
tell you? Can I tell you a secret between friends, if I may?
Oh, sure.
The temple runs itself. I don't do shit.
Love it.
Oh, that is not true. That is like me saying that the songs write themselves and they sing themselves. Oh, it is not true at all. You are the head of the church.
And do they not come to you as easily as you pick up that instrument and start strumming? No, it's just natural. This thing will run itself for a few days. They'll be fine, and you have a better chance of making it back with my protection, do you not?
Oh, I cannot argue that, but again,
I won't
It's
weigh you
totally
down.
up to
I
you.
won't make much noise, and we'll have good company along the way. No.
Oh, yeah, yes, you are right. You're
And
absolutely
it's
right.
settled. Give me a moment to fly to the temple. I'll make arrangements, and I'll meet you at the gate as soon as possible. No.
Oh,
Flies
yeah,
off.
Um, so as you're kind of heading that way, you would be led up to the office. There's a door opening, Alvin, and Kirk re-enters with Leaf in tow. And he says, "Boss, he's got to be quick. He's leaving tonight."
He's leaving. Where are you going? We just returned.
Kirk closed the
Oh.
door behind him as he exits behind you, Leaf.
So it's just Alvin and I,
Yep.
and I would bow and say, "Oh, my friend, it is a secret mission, which I can tell you a little bit of it. I am going to head out to the capital. I need to catch up with Aristotle, Lady Aristotle, and just talk to her about some stuff."
It's a secret mission. Let me tell you all the details.
The best spy ever. Bard
Now,
as
that is
spy.
the bad part about using a bard for a secret mission.
I mean, to be
you
fair,
know,
I never actually told you it was a secret mission.
it
He's
is
like,
my-
he's gonna go
assumed
with
that
a
part.
T-shirt that says "Secret Mission."
Yeah, secret mission. So then I would say, "Oh, Alvin, let me play that song that you commissioned," and then I would I always carry my.
It wasn't Alvin that commissioned it.
Yeah, it wasn't Alvin that commissioned it.
Oh, son of a bitch! I
Yeah.
didn't even know that. You're right.
It was
You're
Kareem.
Kareem.
Pretend that never happened then. All right.
It's okay.
So Alvin, my friend, and a journey by ship would not make sense in this case. Just in case you were going to suggest it, I'm going to use a horse and just ride like the wind.
I merely
like
wished
my adventuring
in,
days.
That is all. I'm just sad to see you leaving the town.
Oh, I'm sad to be going, but sometimes absence makes the heart grow stronger. So.
All right. If there's no other interaction therein, Leaf,
Yeah, that's
Starts
about it.
slowly unbuttoning his shirt. Like,
Yeah.
what's happening?
Quickly now.
he's about to bar it up. He's about to.
Not against it.
He's
Yeah.
like, lay him out on the bar. Duh.
I was thinking, like, metagame, like, we would try and use the boat, but I thought the boat would be faster, right? You're not going to catch them by horse. They already,
We're not catching him
It's
by
gonna
boat
be about
either.
the
It's a
same.
few days either way.
Yeah.
Keep in
at
mind.
least with the boat, you would have a crew of, like, and I kind of want to get the boat out on the water anyway. I'd like to see how people are doing with the, I need to get them on the water,
Well,
because I need them to be,
Plus, you could do the Lonely Isle
Practice.
song.
reminder.
Okay.
Reminder. You did
Yes.
put the armaments on the boat for Lady Alcantara, so you do have a goal to speak to her probably tomorrow regarding the fact that you've succeeded at the task that you were kind of put to. So
that too.
you can still get people out on the water. It just seems like Leaf's going on a side mission with Halo. So yeah. Hops up onto the horse. Does he have like a Hylian shield and a sword, and they're like riding, and then like they fall into a pit, and like this weird skull child puts on a
I think-
mask, and it's creepy.
Back wall.
That's a good one. I like that.
Oh. Also, I forgot to mention this, but I do want to give Leaf the 2 letters, the one from
Right.
Ulair and the one that I wrote.
Okay. The ones that are going directly to the capital. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Makes sense to send them with Leaf.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yep, I will deliver that.
Okay, so that said, nothing else for the evening besides the write-off, correct?
I just wanted to, we don't have to play it out. I'm touching base with Vanthius so she knows that I am dipping for at least 4 days, if not longer. She's in charge of the temple while it's there, and I'm expecting her to meet with Flaxius when he gets back, and the two of them are to coordinate with Alcantara on what the next steps are for the town and the temple.
Perfectly acceptable. So you should note that the token that is set for Alcantara is movable at this point by all players. On horseback, you'll be able to move a total of 5 hexes in a day's time, which means that based on the fact that you're traveling by night, you will basically be stopping your ride out probably in the middle of the afternoon tomorrow based on the fact that you are Fey. And that said,
Actually, I did have one thing that I wanted
Go
to
ahead.
do in the evening before things closed out.
go ahead.
So, I want to go and see my father.
All right. You head into the Grove area that his small little side house has been placed in. The trees that are present there are currently in bloom. A very vibrant pink colored blossom is present. Some of them have already started to loose their petals onto the ground. And a couple of small ponds near where the house sits. You can hear the soft sound of the fish that swim within them, hopping up and catching this insect or the other. You make your way to the door, which is slightly ajar, and you can tell that the windows are also opened. It being a relatively nice spring evening, you assume that the caretakers have left the windows open for his pleasure. And he is sitting not too far from a bookshelf, kind of absently staring down at a book, which looks like it's not too far into it, but you know it's a book he has been toiling over for some time.
Hello, Father.
Huh?
Have you made it much further in your book?
Just feels so familiar.
Do you want to take a walk in the garden?
That sounds nice. He closes the book, and sets it down onto the table. Gets up slowly. You can see that from pretty much the shadows, one of the attendants kind of moves over to him. You see that
I would sort of like, if they're moving to like help him, I'd wave them off and I'd go him
okay.
myself.
You take him basically arm in arm, and you can feel a little bit of his weight kind of resting on you as the two of you start to move. The attendant looks to you and says, "Milady, should I follow behind, or?"
That shouldn't be necessary. If I need,
I will wait within earshot, so if you need to call, I will be ready. The walk begins, and your father kind of looks at you, and he says, "That young lad reminds me of somebody. Very, very caring. Very nice."
well, he's been attending to you for at least a year now.
Yes. Really? And he looks back.
I know time does seem to fly, doesn't it?
You're told at a young age that you'll have all of it. It is the blessing of the elves. He kind of just stares off as you walk. It kind of looks like he's looking towards the sea. He's trying to look out past the forest line and out to the waters.
Are you looking towards her? Or just the sea in general?
Who?
Mother.
Oh, your mother. No. No, She loves you very much. But I don't deserve her care or consideration. No, I was never good at asking for forgiveness.
Well, it seems to me that she's the one that should be asking forgiveness of you after leaving.
No. 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 It's strange, this malady. Sometimes I can't remember the last page or even the last sentence that I read. Sometimes I can't remember things that everything my memories are about are based around. But everything regarding her, when I'm with you, so crystal, as sharp as the finest blades.
Well, I do have a favor to ask of you, Val.
He kind of looks like forlorn, and as he kind of looks to you, it looks like he's kind of expecting something. You can make an insight check to see if you can kind of read that a little bit deeper. Again, you won't get specific details, but he definitely has a strange reaction to what you just said.
That's fine. Insight. 19.
You feel like he is very insecure about himself. You're about to ask him to do something as a responsibility, and as of late, he's been unable to keep those responsibilities. So it looks like it's a worry about his competency, his ability.
I want you to know that no matter what, I still love you,
I know.
even if you forget.
But I don't know how to say it. But I love you also. What can I do for you?
Well, I know you've said Mother has contacted you every once in a while.
Yes.
All I ask is next time she does, ask her to contact me.
I will. But before I tell her that you're wanting her to speak to you, you feel him kind of go faint, and he kind of like becomes slack in your grip. Do you try to let him fall to the ground, or do you kind of try to hold him up?
I'm going to try to hold him up and also call for that guy who...
The attendant rushes over quickly, literally like a fleet of foot, probably a wood elf, rushes over and catches your father and kind of starts hefting him up and says, "Milady, let's get him back to his chair." And he says, No, who are you? Get away from me. Be gone. And he kind of looks to you, waiting for like an actual like command from someone who is of their right senses.
I'm going to just sort of like wave him away, but like try to indicate like just back up a little bit,
Okay.
you know, like 10 feet or so.
He kind of backs away, and your father kind of clings to you for a second, kind of looks up into your eyes, and he says, "I have something I have to tell you. It's very important. It was never you. You were never the reason she left. We knew there was a chance that you'd end up like you were. Because of her past. Because of her parents. And her parents before. No, she didn't leave because of you. She left because of me. And I think the guilt is the reason why these memories stay so strong."
Guilt from what?
I wasn't loyal to your mother. I was in love with someone else. And the pain of it, the pain of her knowing it, is why she left. And the love that she had, or has, she still talks to me, so she must still love me, right? I don't want her to do it. It isn't fair. Let me sit. and he kind of tries to drag you over to a small bench near the path that you're on.
Yeah, I just sort of, like follow, still supporting him somewhat.
The attendant, kind of standing back, kind of takes this as a cue to kind of back away further, and kind of away from you. As you sit down on the bench with him, he looks to you and he says, I was in love with a woman who was very pure in her beliefs. And my father... It's always fathers, isn't it? Forcing you to push into responsibilities you're not ready for. He did not want me to see her anymore. As you may well know, in my youth, I was quite the monster hunter myself. It's what's made our town popular, the ability to hunt. And I first met her across the bridge. And she was everything I wanted. Everything I desired in myself. It was very easy to fall in love with her. But it wasn't something that they wanted. Her people or mine. My father forbid me from ever crossing the bridge ever again. And I was set to marry your mother. It wasn't a forced arrangement. That's barbaric. A horrid thing. No, it was... I won't say that I didn't love your mother. I did. I just was thinking about someone else a lot of the time. And when I finally acted on my true desires and my true wants, she found out.
When was this?
Not long before you were born.
And when did you see her before that?
It wasn't too far removed from your birth. And when she found out, it was... He looks down to the ground. It was because of the result of what I did.
Do you know this other woman, did she have any children
She did.
from any of this?
She did.
Do it.
2?
Just one.
That one elf still in earshot?
No.
Scared.
This is what...
Backed off.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that mother still does love you. I'm sure a painful memory and something that may have been rough on her.
It's hard for someone to tell the truth about who they are and what they truly feel sometimes. Even harder now that I don't even know who that person was. He looks up at you. I remember your mother's name, but I can't remember her name. And every time I remember that, I die a little inside.
Is there anything else that you need, Father?
I will tell your mother that you wish to speak to her. But I did not want you to hear the truth of the matter from her. I would like for you to know that when she left, she did not leave because of you. She left because of me.
Yes, but is as I said, there anything else that you...
I haven't had a chance to look after my sired child, but he lived at the temple for some time. Then Adrasi forced him to be returned to this place.
I think I know. Well, I knew that at least, where he was raised.
When I was of my own wills and wits, I think I did. I'm certain that I would have kept an eye on him to make sure his life was good. And I saw to it that he was mentored and tutored and brought up well. I think he became the master of the Monster Hunters Guild.
Yes, he did.
So you know him then?
I do.
Don't tell him.
I won't.
No. If you want to tell him, tell him. I think my malady is my payment for the sin of keeping so many secrets. At that, if you want to conclude it there, not a bad stopping point unless you have anything else you want to say to him.
No, that was pretty much it.
Solid. Basically, he will be returned back to his seat, and you'll be able to go back to your sleeping, your meditation. The rest of you will all perform your meditations except for Leaf and Halo. Like I said, you should be able to move that token. You'll note there are a couple of points on the way in between you and there. One will be a small little ruins present there, which is Iskar Yanwi, the ruins where you sent off your individuals to help reconstruct. Then there's Medisha, or Medida rather, which is a small fishing village between Kasari Yanwi and Osnabel. Osnabel is a port city, whereas Kasari Yanwi is a port town. Osnabel is the main port city that kind of connects to the Akaskari wildlands, as it's pretty much a straight shot under the coast of the Adamant Isles. You will not be able to make it to Osnabel in one day's worth of travel unless you push it, and if you push it, you will be very, very, very tired at the end of your trip and will need to make Constitution saving throws to avoid exhaustion. Exhaustion
Alright,
that
then I
will
guess
lead
what I
into your
would do
next
then
day.
is I'd like to go as far as I can without having to do con save. So would that
Sure.
be like 5?
Yep. And you'll be making camp out in the wilds then?
Yes.
Alright. So go ahead and do me a favor and give me Leaf, and when I say Leaf I mean Kevin. Kevin, go ahead and give me 3 rolls of the 20-sided dice. And Zach, go ahead and give me 2 rolls of the 20-sided dice.
This is where we meet a wyvern that kills us.
Alright. If you make no stops and no efforts, you basically bowl past Iskar Yanwi, seeing that there are some lights off in the distance. It does look like work is being done out that way. Couple of, candlelights, or not candlelights, why can't I think of the name of the thing with No, not.
Thinking of
No, it's the thing with a thing in it. Lantern lights. Wow.
The thing
I was
with the
close.
thing.
The greatest dungeon master is me. It looks like there are lantern lights out and about. It does look like people are kind of getting situated in the ruins. When you pass by Medina, you would note that it's pretty decent little town. Looks like most of the village is actually built out on the coast on stilts, houses up on stilts on the coast. But there are some more inland positions. But I don't know, maybe about 400 or so people in that town entirely. And when you make it to your final destination, I mean, Osnovel is pretty easily visible. And there are a couple of farmlands near there. As you're setting up for your rest, which do ferries trans, right?
I think so.
Yeah. You can rest for 4 hours. Your horse, on the other hand, will need a full 8 hours of downtime to get back to its full kind of stamina, unless you're wanting to push that horse. But if that's the case, would you please, either one of you, make a survival roll to see how well a camp is set up for you two?
You probably have better survival than me.
You think?
I have a 1.
Same.
Okay, well then.
you guys are both equally.
Equally
Not good at it.
Rude.
So we'll go with the simple matter of you can either have one person roll with advantage as you help the other, or you can both roll and you can take the higher of the two rolls.
Yeah, let's both roll. That way, we each get a chance to do some clicking.
Should have rolled with advantage, you son of a bitch.
I got 14 though. 14's not bad.
You manage to find a small little outcropping of rocks, kind of closer to the coast than further away from it, just off the ways from the road, and you settle in. It's a pretty uneventful evening, so long as you roll me 3d20s to see how well your downtime goes.
Do you want to do those, Zach?
10, 17, 5.
All right. On 17, as you're kind of sitting there in your trance, and the horse is kind of, laid down to rest, you see out on the coast what appear to be a series of green lights kind of moving across the coast in a south to north patterning. The green lights are pretty well off, maybe about 600, 700 feet off the coastline, and it doesn't seem that they're attached to anything.
We didn't set up a campfire or anything, right?
It's spring. I don't see why you would want to.
Yeah, we're pretty well hidden,
Yeah,
I would assume here.
You're inside like an outcropping, so you're kind of blocked against the wind. The wind isn't coming and siphoning through. You're kind of set in a position where it's not going to be terribly
we
cold.
don't even have like embers burning from our fire. Like we should be so well hidden here that hopefully, unless these things pass directly or come directly to us, they'll just move on by. But I want to keep an eye on them.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that they're moving towards you. It seems like they're moving south to north, kind of up towards up the coast. Okay.
Let's take note of it.
All right. You awake the next day. Real quick before we get to your movements, and you will be moving your full 5 cycle, right?
Yep.
Can we push it to get all the way to the city today?
2,
I could play Salt and Pepper.
4, 5. Yeah,
Push it real good.
you would be able to push it to get there. You would be able to push it to get there.
Okay, I'm okay with burning the horse here if we can get to the capital and rest for a day, And
Right.
worst comes to worst, this fucking portal should already be set up now. They have faster horses than us, so we should be able to step through the portal and not need this horse. Like, fucking burn the horse for all I care. Like, not because I am a person who hates animals.
He
I'm
hates
so
animals.
sorry. Oh my
So
god.
mean.
Oh man.
We are streaming this.
Yeah.
Peter is watching.
Oh no. Well, fuck PETA, but like.
We can agree there.
Right.
Okay, so we'll deal with you in a bit. The main part is during the morning you'll be traveling through the city, and we'll discuss how that goes. back to Kasari Anwi. First things first, Alvin, you awake in the morning pretty early. You have a matter at hand that you want to deal with, correct?
I need to go talk to Lady Alcontra.
You make your way there. Cyril, you awake, and by awake I mean you finish your evening kind of meditation rituals, and
Yup.
you would then...
I would want to talk to Lady Alcontra so we could
Okay.
confer about what to do in town.
All right.
Gosh, guys, I feel like the Regina George of this.
You are the
Everyone
Regina
wants to
George
talk
of
to
this
me,
group.
and no one likes.
That's true.
So, you both arrive at the same time and meet pretty much almost by chance at the desk where Sahil kind of looks to you two. Can I help you, lords?
I nod at Cyril.
I would
Yielding.
nod at Alvin. Here to see Lady Alcontra.
Of course. I will double check
Or-
to make sure she is made ready. I presume that she will be meeting with you in the main hall. Are you both on the same business or separate business? I dig it.
Cyril would look to Alvin and say, I think we're on separate business.
Affairs of the state. I state
But
vaguely.
but ultimately, affairs of the state.
Do you wish to have private counsel, or shall I just allow you both to meet with her at the same time?
Worries me not.
And you, Cyril?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what Alvin said.
He said, worries me not.
Worries me not. Cyril would rather have a conversation in private with Lady Alcontra first, and then perhaps as a group after.
Due to your prerequisite for secrecy, I will presume you are also intending to wait. If that's the case, Lord Alvin Elford, you may go ahead and enter into the main hall. And Cyril, he gestures for you to wait, as you've probably done several times.
Would Alvin? Is it known that you play chess, dragon chess?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Very much.
but I wasn't. But I know. But you when you played once before, you play. Oh, okay, you did play.
My character plays under pseudonyms because he doesn't. People play differently, knowing
But
who you are.
but you played with Alcontra as Alvin, yeah?
Yes, 100%.
So
he
then
did.
Cyril would
I
say,
do.
I hear you're quite good at dragon chess. Perhaps we can sit and have a game sometime.
I hurried quickly into the hall to see Alcontra.
All right.
Well, he's intimidated now, Andy.
No, just as a way to get to know this person who I haven't chatted with before.
Nexi kind of enters into your chamber, Lady Alcontra, as I'm certain you're basically just preparing for the morning, and she
Pretty
says,
much, yeah.
"You already have a docket of guests. Unfortunately, they have been told to wait upon your attendance. Lord Elford is meeting with you, presumably about the matter you put to him yesterday, and..."
Real quick, sorry.
What?
So, Cyril and I waiting in the lobby together? Because if we are, I would totally pull out a chessboard.
No. You were sent
mind.
on to wait in the main hall.
Alright, I just wanted to clarify. Because
Cyril's in the back, waiting.
Cool. I just want to make sure. Sorry.
Nancy says, and Cyril's here, wishing to speak to you privately. Sahil has made it so that Alford will be the first one you deal with, and Cyril will be the next. Whenever you're ready, of course. And then she kind of looks to you and kind of whispers something to you, which I will send you in a side chat.
Hooray.
Alright.
More secrets, guys.
Gotta love secrets.
Yeah, basically once she tells me what she, I would probably try to just rather quickly finish up my morning routine and head out to the, I'm imagining,
The main hall is where they tell you
Main
Alvin
hall,
will be.
yeah. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I'd probably head out there as soon as possible.
And what do you say in response to her whispers?
Let me read that really quickly.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, hint, hint.
I don't think that's necessary.
She has a sad look on her face. All right. You head into the main hall, and there's Alvin Alford waiting for you.
My lady.
Alvin?
Very good news. The munitions are now readied on the ship.
Ah, that's good. Are you going to take leave to go to the Sliver Island? Find the mention that was a potential plan.
Yes, with your blessing. I do wish to speak with Balthar first, to let him know before I leave.
Well, I imagine that he would be open with that, and I see.
You're cutting out a little bit, Matt.
Alright. I see no reason why necessarily you would need my permission for such a thing.
He smiles.
So
No,
when
but
do you
Leaf-
plan to?
I know that Leaf had left last night in a hurry. Do you know anything about this?
Yes, he was heading to the capital. There was some business he needed to attend to over there on the city's behalf.
What's the rush? He left in the middle of night.
It was urgent business, she says and smiles.
Oh, Kirk would have also told me.
Mm-hmm.
So-
You're bad at whisper talks.
Oh, I thought that was in the general chat. What of Halo? Was he on this mission as well?
He did quickly run over and talk to Leaf while they were both. I don't like. You didn't tell anyone necessarily, besides like talking with Leaf, that you were going, did you?
No,
Or did you just sort of like rush off?
the only people that know about Halo leaving with them would be Leaf, Halo, and the guy who led Leaf to Alvin.
Gotcha.
No, Halo told some people at his temple.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Stanthius
send
would
people
also
at the
know.
temple. That might
Right.
not have filtered up towards the keep.
It
at
wouldn't
this
have
point,
unless
though.
you directly contact the temple. They're not going to contact you about it.
Yeah, I didn't think that
Until
was gonna happen.
Flaxius gets back with his report, you're not going to know I left.
Well, or now with Alvin mentioning it. I wasn't aware that Halo going, but I am not upset about that. I feel like there's always better protection in numbers. And Halo is a wise and quite entertaining companion himself.
Fair enough. I see I'm getting nowhere here. I will be on my leave come tomorrow morning.
Well, I wish you well on your journey, and I hope that you do not find anything of too ill-tiding.
And he would nod and then step
Out.
out.
Alright. You're going to speak to Balthar directly after this? Okay, we'll deal with that in a bit. Cyril, you see that Alvin is exiting out, and so he'll kind of gestures to you as is customary.
And he would say the same. Until we meet again, Alvin. Perhaps we could have a time to chat.
And he smiles.
McCoy.
You also can sense a certain determination in Alvin's movements. It looks like he is a man on a mission.
I'm not blowing you off.
You just
Maybe.
want to get on the on
I
the
just
ocean, right?
wanna-
Yeah,
yeah.
I understand. I get it.
You are sent in, or you head in,
I
sir?
would. Yep. And sir, I would say, Lady Alcantara, I hope you're doing well this morning.
As well as can be expected, I suppose.
I thought it might be a good time for us to talk about many matters related to the city. Situation, as of course you know, is quite complicated, and I thought that I could perhaps provide you some counsel.
Nancy very
Also-
quickly interjects and says, I assume my presence will not be needed here, but before I leave, would you like any refreshments? And would you like to take this in the study instead? It sounds like this will be a conversation that you do not want ears in.
Probably not, and Cyril, would you want some tea? I haven't had any.
That would be lovely. Thank you.
We also have some fresh squeezed juice as well, and some fine fruits, which will be on tray for you. She leaves.
Yeah. Also, Andy, I'm still going to be talking. I'm just grabbing more food.
No worries. So would Cyril know about Leaf's mission at this point, or not really?
No.
I mean,
Okay.
we were you were there when we were discussing the whole thing, so I'd imagine you know.
You would know he's left. Yes.
Okay.
What I mean to say, the hesitant no would be you do not know Halo went with him, and you do not
Right.
know that Cyril also was gifted the letters that are being directed towards Aristotle. So these are two pieces that you're unaware of. Your presumption is that. Go ahead.
Cyril, I was
Leaf has the letters to bring to the capital.
I said the wrong
Sorry.
name. I said
Got
the
it,
wrong
got
name.
You said the wrong name. Leaf and I have the letters. You don't know about the letters, but you don't know about
Well-
me. All you know is that
Well-
Leaf went to the capital.
You don't know
You
about the letters either.
I don't know about the
Leaf
letters either.
has the letters.
I mean, I wasn't trying to hide giving
I-
him the just to say, I wasn't trying to hide giving the letter.
Fair enough.
To be fair, I probably know about Quothus's letter at the very least, because this would be the first contact we've had with the capital, and he
And-
consulted me on what to put in the letter.
Cyril probably overheard it. That's fine. If you
Yeah.
weren't hiding it, then that's fine. So yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
basically, Cyril is aware of the demands of the Nadrasi. Cyril is aware of the demands of Aristotle and the conflict, and sending Leaf off to try to barter some sort of compromise.
Sounds right.
Yes.
Cool. So Cyril would say, perhaps this would be a good time to make some contingency plans in case things go awry with that regard,
With which? With the
with Leaf's mission.
portal, with the letter, or
Well, there's so
everything
many
in general?
things that can go wrong, right? At this point, perhaps we should think about all that as well. So the mission can go wrong, because if it's just the two of us, Cyril would say, "I know that there are concerns about the change in Lady Aristotle's demeanor."
Yes. Well, unfortunately, there's not too much we can do about that at this point until. Yes.
There are concerns about the defenses of the Nadrasi Island,
There are.
and I was wondering, just thinking about Alvin's visit, whether or not you've enlisted his aid for defending our land, in our waters.
For the time being, I have not. He was interested in going and seeing the Slivered Isle, and as it might be best to have more information from that direction, I didn't see it as inappropriate for him to go.
Mm-hmm.
But when he returns, I do intend upon asking for his help in that area.
Mm-hmm. So I am interested to know what you are most concerned about so that we could develop a plan of action.
What I'm most concerned about is everything.
You hear a light tap on the door. You've been basically moved into the drawing room or where the chess game was played. Light tap on the door. If you beckon, the door is opened. In walks Nancy. She sets down a tray of fruits and a couple of glasses, pot of tea, which seems to have a nice bit of steam going to it. And she looks to Lady Alcontra after placing everything down and says, "Milady, you have another individual waiting for your presence. Captain Valesha Obadon is also waiting to speak with you. I assume since this is a matter of city or a town affair, you might welcome her into this meeting. If not, I will tell her to wait until this is completed."
Cyril?
Yeah, let's hear what the captain has to say.
I will go and make sure she is known. It is known to her she is welcome at this meeting. She bows lightly and exits. You kind of tuck into, the food. Looks pretty good. The tea's also fine, on point, and Valesha kind of steps in, bows lightly, closes the door behind her, moves to sit on the opposite side of Lady Alcontra from Cyril. kind of huffs, kind of settles down, and says, I just wanted to report that we have a very dedicated watch on the portal, and nothing untoward or different or strange has happened as of yet. And I just wanted to get your opinions on some of the notions we have planned for the portal.
Which notions in particular are you?
Well, we've already set up a very elaborate trap. The roof of the shrine that they placed the circle in, we were able to devise a rigging where if something untoward were to start to come out, a very quick cut of a blade would cause a rope to unsecure a currently now necessary secure placement in the roofing, which would cause the entirety of the shrine's top to fall onto the portal. We've also set up a situation where if something were to get free and make it into the main barracks area, we would be able to close it off inside of that location and then perhaps attack it with crossbows from high points inside of or outside of the barracks on the outer roof portion. If they attempt to go into the town directly from the portal, we've also set up a series of trenches where they will not know the specific pathways to walk, and they will fall into the trenches. Once they are in the trenches, we would stab them with spears until they stopped moving.
And necessarily how obvious it is specifically the first trap?
Not terribly obvious. It looks like a simple rope that's connected to support structure. Not too dissimilar from. She kind of looks around. Well, in the main hall, the candelabra, that when the sunlight does not come in, that's sometimes raised up for light, similar to that.
Cyril, do you think that would be sufficient to at least temporarily stop use of the portal?
That magic is beyond my current capabilities, but it's worth a try.
Well, if physical object or creature enters into the portal that is not a welcome one, we have instructed the ones watching the line to cut it and smash whatever it is inside. If it somehow gets past those people and into the barracks, then we can easily seal those barracks off with another set of commands, and the trenches kind of work to themselves. But regarding the magic, I'm very concerned that our top officiate on the arcane has no idea if a bunch of rocks on top of it will stop it from being usable.
Would there be any way for us to know that, John, or at least take an educated
Can I
guess at
research that? Can I research that?
Yeah, you could research it, or you can make an Arcana check now to see if you think it might be something that would
Yeah,
be...
let's do that, and I'm just going to use my portent of 19.
Sure. So you would know that teleporting into solid objects via teleportation, the spell, or dimension door, or other type spells that kind of let you teleport to a location without sight of it. If you are ported into a physical object, instead of finalizing the teleportation, you instead are shunted from that position by sheer will of physical force and pushed back to where you came from. And basically are discombobulated within. You know that in older eras of teleportation magic, it could be the case that people could be locked in the physical thing, the physical medium that was present at the end of the teleportation jump, and basically fused with the object that they're teleporting into. So you're pretty sure that magic since then has kind of been a bit more refined. And instead, it's kind of more of a bounce instead of a.
So this would potentially stop people. It would hurt them, but it wouldn't necessarily kill them.
Yeah, it would stop them from coming if it were a bunch of stone on the portal circle.
So sorry, we'll take a moment. He said, "Well, I'm thinking about it some more," and then he would basically say what you said.
Delesha says, "Hell yeah, And she seems to have like
Obviously.
a bit more confidence about it.
Good. I think this sounds sufficient for the time. Hopefully we don't have to use it, but good to have precautions.
Just wanted to make sure you knew I was prepared.
Thank you. Is there anything else?
I was told by Sahil that you are having conversations about matters of the town. Is there anything that you need me for? Or
I would look to Cyril and see, because since he's the one initiating this meeting.
What are the states? What is the state of our defenses along the bridge?
well, regarding the bridge, at current, we have a splinter force set up on the northern side of the bridge, set to intercept the bridge at a moment's notice. The old dwarven defenses have been prepared. Out of character note, you would know that the old dwarvish defenses, you can't really have a drawbridge on a bridge, and dwarves are masters of bottlenecks and narrow spaces. So what you would know is that on this side of the bridge, there are basically two large stone blocks, right, that are able to be dropped down on intermeeting forces, massive stone blocks that are dropped down, and then it creates a narrow single file area. You know that old times dwarves would basically use that kind of focal point to fire their ballistas and such through, but since those have obviously not been kept, the point of it for us on
Choke point, yeah.
she's explaining that it would basically be the dwarven defenses would be dropped, and then the strike force would hold until the rest of the battlements can get to that position, and of course the siren call would be made once the battlements are dropped.
Right. Also, John, I'm trying to remember the troops that came with Lady Aristotle. What were they called?
Twilight Knights.
Twilight Knights. Thank you. And I'm trying to remember, were some of them left here, or did all of them go back?
All of the ones she had with her continued on with her. So, real quick, when she first arrived, she had courtiers with her. She had Furies, which are kind of more mobile combatants, and Twilight Knights, which are basically the kind of hierarchy war knights of the Elanche Enclave. She left with a very decent-sized contingent of them, a good retinue. When she returned, she had a handful. And one courtier. The courtier was the one who laid out the scroll and created the teleportation circle. The Twilight Knights were with her, and the ones that remained, all had Renin, the magical horses of the Summer Elves.
Right. And
Did we
haven't
ever
heard
ask
anything-
her what happened to the rest of the people?
She said that she left them behind in the towns of Split Rock, Graniteville, and not too far from the other side of the bridge.
Got it.
Then the only other question I'd have for Felicia is if had anyone who wanted to basically like go to the Nadrasi Isle, or are we waiting for reinforcements before we make an encampment out there?
As of right now, we haven't. You haven't really made word for us to do so, so I have not sent anyone across. We are aware through Sahil that the island may be open up to us, but in my opinion, apologies, not my opinion. She seems to kind of retread her words and kind of step back for a second, and then she says, "It is not my duty to defend the Isle of Nadrasi. It is my duty to defend the town of Kasari Yanwi, milady. If it is your will to send us out to Nadrasi to do my duty, I will do so. But we have not sent any forces across, as I assumed the treaty that you've brokered is more for the capital's knights and not more for us."
I think that sounds reasonable, don't you, Cyril?
Absolutely, and I think that the captain has done an excellent job of fortifying the town's defenses.
You can see that her face goes from like kind of serious where she backpedaled to like a lot more confident and smiling. She says, I will make sure that we also have a detachment on the southern side of the town, making ready for the return of the foray that headed out. That way, it is presumed that the temple's leader and a small group will return with reports as to whether or not the ruins are habitable, um, and and that is all I've got.
Cyril, do you have anything else that Alicia might be, her input may be useful?
I do not.
She stands
Thank
up
you, Alicia.
very suddenly, kind of gives like a stern salute, heads out.
That her preparations are obviously really good news. She seems to be doing a great job. I want to talk more about the Nadrasi and their demands about the schism creature.
Yes.
I wonder why they seem so keen to have the remnants of the creature returned when the creature appears to originate on the Adamant Isle and not Nadrasi itself.
Well, just because it was in a container that the dwarfs had does not mean that they brought it with them. Perhaps they came to the isle specifically to capture some, and they were taking it back for further study.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps there are more of these on the Nadrasi Isle than we necessarily for.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps. They expressed a sense of ownership over it. That was a little confusing. I think that's what I mean.
Well, maybe this is just part of their secret and part of why they inhabit the island. They necessarily do not seem to wish to talk to us too openly about their affairs.
Clearly.
I don't necessarily see returning two corpses to them. The question is whether Lady Arisnodal sees harm in that, and whether or not Lady Arisnodal has ulterior reasons for why she wanted these creatures.
So real quick, I'm gonna cut back to Dan as he heads to Balthar, unless there's anything else that was in that, because it kind of sounded like it was winding down. Just wanted to be sure.
It sounds like it was winding down.
Okay, just wanted to be certain. All right, so Alvin quickly makes way to Balthar's abode. You would note it as being the actual old manor house of the former most rich person in this city before it became an elf city and when it was a dwarf city hundreds of years ago. So he's taken up a pretty nice residence for himself. As you kind of approach, you can see that he is kind of out in the courtyard. Seems like he's delegating some tasks to some individuals. He looks across the way and sees you, and he goes, "Ah!" And he kind of just moves away from them, his cape kind of brushing behind him, billowing a bit in the wind as he kind of makes his way over to you. Alvin!
Oh, sorry. I pulled my hand out.
He clasps, and he says, "I assume this has to do with Our Lady?"
It seems everything in this town has to do with Our Lady.
Well, that's typically how it goes for those in power.
Furthermore, I wanted to let you know we met with your friend Marsh Stomper.
Oh yeah.
Has he returned?
I heard something about that yesterday, but I had a very busy day, to be sure. After
The armaments were wonderful.
Perfect. I've been making do on a lot of matters that Aramis has asked me concerning movements towards the town to the south. Iskar Yanwi. Have you heard of it?
I have.
It seems
They
like
were
by...
Talking about, I guess, town settled?
Well, certainly. By edict, Lady Alcantara has made it known that private stakeholders and temple stakeholders can lay claim to land out that way. And so, well, to tell you the truth, Iskar Yanwi has some secrets, some things that we have been curious about for some time, and I have a couple of adventure seekers who are interested in making their way to the ruins and scouting about. Do you know anybody who works at the temple? I'm not terribly familiar with them. Elves and their worship. Of course, I'm asking you. I don't know what your fate. Like, we've never really come to a conversation about religion.
I've met the head priest there. He goes by Halo.
Oh yes, the fairy, of course. He was at the meeting. Yes. But do you know him well enough to ask him if he'd be willing or interested in allowing us access to the ruins in this way?
A good request as such, but he left last night in a rush. Seemed really urgent to get to wherever he was going. They left after the evening
That's too bad.
at nightfall.
Well, I suppose it's better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. I will send a couple of them on with the stakeholders, and hopefully they will be able to find what I seek. There's suspicion that Iskar-Yanwi might have some very beneficial mining opportunities for this town, for the town of Kisari-Yanwi. If it is true what the information I've been granted is accurate, we might be able to make this Alcantra's wealth double overnight.
That's excellent.
Of course, finder's fees and whatnot, to be sure. But, anyways, well, you came to speak to me regarding something important, I'm sure. Don't let me cut you off. Why have you come to see me, young boy?
I wanted to let you know first that the armaments have been fitted onto Sigurd, my ship.
Ah, very good. Are you intending on heading up to the Silver Isle, as was suggested?
I am. I did have a few concerns with the new munitions, the new cannons, the ballistas and such. My men are rather inexperienced with them. Have you any
Are they as green as your ship?
frown?
He says, I have a couple of cousins who might be...
I see what you're saying. Never mind. Green.
Yeah.
I mean, as brown as their pants are, right?
He says, I might have a couple of cousins who may know their way around those armaments. I will send them towards your ship. When do you plan on setting off for the Isle?
Tomorrow morning.
They'll be there well before then. I would suggest, if you are interested in more information about these ruins, Aramis is the main one who is sending out his folks, but if you have any interest that way, I would suggest speaking to Aramis. But if not, then that's fine. I will be sure to make sure the ports get plenty of funneling that way. We are definitely going to require more ship maneuvering out and about. If he kind of leans in, the gold I expect to be that way is there.
We always have a gift at finding gold.
They call it Ukumar's curse, but well, he shrugs and leaves you to it. Do you want to go and head towards Aramis, or ignoring that?
I mean, I have till tomorrow, so yeah.
Okay. We'll deal with that in a bit. Let's go ahead and cut to the cool kids outside. Leaf and Halo, early in the morning, you move to the city of Osnabel. Osnabel is a city of towers. Lots and lots of towers. They all seem to have very kind of sweeping styles to them. I guess the best kind of real life kind of idea I can give you when it comes to the color schemes and the kind of design patterning is like the Moscow kind of towers with like the sweeping kind of colors and the very intricate kind of doming and topping. They're very elvish though, unmistakably elvish. There are a lot of sea motifs present here. A lot of marine kind of colors, but it's not a city that's unfamiliar to Leaf. This is probably the first time that Halo has ever seen it. And yeah, booking through, making your way on the north side. Leaf,
To clarify, Halo is originally from the capital and is older than the town itself. So I have likely seen it
right. Sorry.
traveling through.
It-
I am the oldest person in this party.
No. What I mean to say is you're from the capital. You have been in this town, Kasari Yanwi, for a while.
Okay.
Oznobel was not originally a city.
Okay. This city is
It's
how old?
it's probably a little younger than Kasari Yanwi.
Okay.
It's probably only about 40 or 50 years old, but it's a
Got it.
full-blown city compared to Kasari Yanwi's township. It didn't have as much trouble in its inception.
Okay.
But
Okay. Got it.
yeah, so it's a very pretty city. If you did pass through Oznobel on your way from the capital to Kasari Yanwi originally, it was definitely a lot different. Whereas Leaf has probably passed through in the last decade, and so he would know that on the northern side that you're passing through, you're going to be passing through the marketplace.
Actually, Halo, my parents are from Oznobel. Isn't that how you say it?
Oznobel, yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Yes, that. I served as a courtier in their court for 20 years. I think so.
Wait. Sorry, you mean to tell me this is the first time I'm hearing your royalty?
No. I was no. I'm not even considered a noble. I don't know. Some may consider that, but I don't consider myself.
Oh,
a
sorry.
noble.
Sorry. I misheard you. You said your family was from here and then you worked in their court at the Whoops.
No, the court. The court.
Got it. Yes. Of course.
Sorry, my friend. It's
No.
all this writing. It gets to your.
And does
gets
your
to your
family
head.
still reside here?
Pardon me?
Does your family still reside here?
Yes, they do.
Hmm.
So,
Perhaps on our way back through, if we are to travel back through, we should stop and you can introduce me.
So
yeah.
are you spurring Leaf on to not make any stops?
Correct. That's exactly what I'm doing right here and right now to like we need to keep going. Like I get that this is who you are and what you want to do. We have a way back. Like we can do it on the way back through. Like
Continuing the motif, Halo pulls out a single carrot of the 3 carrots that he has, and forces it into Leaf's mouth, who then rides faster.
Uh-huh.
These Zelda references are the best. You continue on. Give me 5 more d20 rolls, as the first one's free and you're traveling 6 today because you're moving through. These are for random encounters.
All right. Do you want to do some of them?
Yeah,
do
Leaf,
you wanna do
you
this?
do 2 this time, and then
Okay.
Halo do 3.
Sounds cool. We'll do it. Boom. Ooh, and I got a nat 1. That has to be good.
Okay.
We're gonna meet like a cyclops or something.
So
I think high
so.
numbers are bad actually for John, right?
for random encounters, yeah. So as you're passing along, heading down the road,
You see a Tarrasque in the distance. It looks friendly.
Leaf, you do see what appears to be a elvish long spear with a banner kind of flowing from it near the riverway, and it just kind of looks like it's kind of set there on its own as you're passing it by. This would be about 3 or 4 hours after you've left Oznobel, and you're about to make it to a small village known as Parthwi.
do I recognize do either of us recognize the banner? As I pointed out to Leaf.
It does appear to be a like a defender's banner. So basically, there are Twilight Knights. Then there are Dawn Knights, and Dawn Knights are basically like guardians who travel the roads and make sure that people on the roads are safe.
Okay. So this is one of the Dawn Knight banners,
Correct.
but no knights around it. Or
No.
any camp that we can see? Any evidence of a camp?
Well, you're kind of looking at it, unless you go to explore more down onto the coast of the river there. You're kind of riding at a higher point, and so you can kind of see the banner kind of sticking out from where you're at. You can't see the coast though. You can't see like the shoals or what have you. So you're kind of looking at it from a higher point, and it's a long spear, so it's kind of stuck there, flowing in the wind, and it kind of catches your eye as you're passing. Are you wanting to stop, hop down, and check it out, or are you just continuing on?
I pointed out to Leaf, I don't want to stop. I want to keep going to get to the capital as soon as possible, because that's where we were told the lady was heading. But if you want to check in with the fucking state troopers and see if they pulled anyone over on their way through
No,
here, we
no.
can do that.
Well,
No, we'll just keep
Leaf-
going.
I just want to keep
Leaf,
going.
you would know that it would be awkward that they wouldn't be on the roads, or
Right,
Right.
There's a bad sign.
why they are over there is confusing to you.
Oh, so is it weird seeing that banner placed down there? Should we check it out because it seems
It's
Out of place.
definitely out of place. A Dawn Knight should be walking around on the road, not off the road a distance away on the shore.
and the banner is moving, so someone's holding it.
The banner
or
is
it
moving in the
placed?
wind. It seems to be stuck in the ground.
Okay.
It's a
My,
smart.
my friend Alo, it is our elfly duty to check this out. So this quickly right over there. So I'm gonna steer the horse to right over there.
So you would note that the descent down to the shore is not very good on horses, but it does look like you could kind of tie the horse off up here to a nearby tree, and then kind of
Fly. Can I just fly down there while he stays here with the horse and waits?
That's a thing.
We could.
So kind
I'm
of
gonna fly down there and check it out while he stays up here with the horse.
from your high vantage point, what you see immediately down is that the river in question has kind of like a white sand kind of bank to it, with a series of stones kind of littered throughout, but primarily kind of white sand, right? And you see that the spear is kind of placed there pretty close to the water, and not too far from it is a body kind of laying in the water, face down, like half in, half out of the river proper.
Is the body in the garb for a guard for one of
The-
these Dawn guards?
He is wearing the Dawn Knight's armor. It does appear he is wearing the silver and gold of the Dawn Knights.
Can I get a closer look at his? Well, first I want to make sure there's no one else around before I step out into the open to check
kinda-
the body.
You do one of these at the top, and then kind of
Yeah.
look down the ways, and it doesn't appear that anything's present. And you kind of descend down the side of the
Yep.
thing there, and kind of flutter over to this Dawn Knight. Looking at the area around him, there doesn't appear to be too much of a sign of a conflict or a scuffle. It does look like there was some shuffling of feet on the ground, but nothing that you can kind of discern without a survival roll. The spear looks like it was forcibly implanted into the ground and kind of placed there specifically for this purpose of kind of alerting people who might be on the road. It's very clear kind of how it was set, that this was its intent. And looking at the Dawn Knight on the ground, it looks like they are not without signs of battle damage, but you're not sure if it's what led to the demise, or if it's just kind of wear and tear over the course of a Dawn Knight's kind of travels. Without flipping over the Dawn Knight, there does not appear to be any kind of signs of there doesn't appear to be any signs of
Trauma.
yeah, trauma, that's the word. Thank you.
Okay. There's no way in hell I'm flipping this thing by myself.
No, I know.
With my strength of 6.
well aware, and also tiny creatures having their lifting capacities much lowered.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can handle it.
Can I shrink his body and then flip him over? No, just...
That would be amazing, actually.
Although
Shrink,
I guess
flip, enlarge.
corpses could be considered object. No.
Okay. Then I will fly back up to Leaf and explain what I saw and ask if he wants to go examine the body closer or if we want to keep moving and just inform the town ahead of what we found. Because, we can't afford to take the corpse on our horse with us. It's going to slow us down anyway. like we're best off just riding forward and reporting the incident to the town. We're not Dawn Knights, we're not Twilight Guard. We shouldn't be. It's not really our place to. And that he's face down in the water. Like I checked, he's dead. I can't see exactly what killed him. I can't like fucking tell if it was a bow and arrow through the chest or a fucking sword or a fucking knife or a fucking spear. But like, he's not getting up.
I'm not dead yet.
I'm not dead. Yeah,
I'm feeling happy.
this is a good question. Did Halo actually check his pulse?
No,
Like, does he know he's dead?
he doesn't.
Son of a bitch.
Then you want to go down and check it? I'll say, let's tie the horse down and we can go check the body.
You may not know this, my friend, but this wonderful lute that I have has magical spells.
Actually, we shouldn't need to tie the horse down. Can I just use the beast speech that I get, and just ask him politely if he'll wait for us here? Like, I'll give him some fucking apple or whatever to eat while we're going. But like,
That'll work.
mind waiting here, buddy?
So I can fly. I can cast the fly spell, so I can fly down there with you. So I will strum some notes, cast fly down there with my little buddy.
You zip on down to the body.
Yep. And then I would flip the body over and find cause of death.
All right. So when you flip the body over, first things first is you see that the face is completely pale white and kind of locked in a kind of death kind of grimace, a very rictus kind of look, very kind of just face, trying to mime it there. It does look like there is an impaling wound in the chest plate of the armor he's wearing, and it looks like it went straight through the armor and pierced perfectly into the individual's heart. Looking at the wound, it looks like it was some sort of curved impaling blade, kind of like like the end point of a scimitar, or something to that effect. It does look like, it definitely does look like it was just one solid blow. The rest of the kind of markings look like they were kind of present on the armor to be sure. You can make a medicine check, Kevin, to kind of discern a little bit more about the wound in question.
And while he's doing that, I want to make sure I keep an eye on our horse up above, so nobody like
Sure.
just fucking stabs it or whatever while we're down here.
I'm not
You know.
trained in medicine, but I could still roll a check
Yeah,
to see
yeah.
what I find out.
You got the
13.
Yeah, keep in mind you have Jack of all trades.
Jack of all
so
trades.
you at least have half training.
yeah. You
How
should.
come it didn't? I had it clicked. I thought that it worked. I mean, I thought Jack of all trades was already on my
What's your intelligence modifier?
It looks.
My intelligence is as a 1 modifier.
So you should have a +2, but so
Yeah,
14.
it is wisdom.
Oh, the wisdom is medicine.
Yeah, medicine
is
is wisdom.
0.
Typically.
Oh well, then that is
Wisdom is 0, so that should be correct.
that's correct. Then Jack of all trades is being included. So definitely been dead for a while, at least 2 or 3 days minimum, at most 2 weeks, or 2 6-day rather. But you're not sure which of the two is true. It was definitely the wound to the chest that was terminal, and it does look like it was some kind of downward curved blade.
I would explain all
Do
that.
we know, as he explains that to me, what weapons were the Twilight Knights wielding?
Twilight
that
Knights use long swords.
But the ones that we saw pass through, did any of them or the lady have a curved
Straight.
blade that matches that description?
Straight as an arrow.
Okay, that's fine. Great.
Hmm.
I'd say we gotta keep moving to the city to let them know of this.
As you're kind of looking over to Halo, as he's saying that, you kind of look back to the body, Leaf, and you notice that he's clenching something in his fist.
Yeah, then I would check that out. Yeah.
Okay. You kind of pry open the fist, and you see that he's holding an amulet in his hand.
It is probably an amulet of awesomeness.
That's probably right.
Puts it on,
Halo.
immediately dies.
Immediately my head explodes. All right, I would look at it and say, this could have meaning. Damn. No, I
Would-
wish I had identify.
When you look at it, the chain appears to be kind of a silver, but very thick chain. It looks like the core of the amulet is kind of silver, kind of holding in what appears to be kind of a reddish gemstone. It's not a ruby, but it's not a garnet. You're not sure what the stone is, but inside of the stone, as you kind of look at it in the light, you can see that inside of the stone there appears to be kind of like gold inside of it that's been kind of left in a dwarvish rune, so that when you move it in the light, you can actually see the rune in its full entirety. And do you speak dwarvish?
Oh, I think I do. Let me check. 'Cause,
I do if he doesn't.
Just a second. I do. I speak Dwarvish.
So dwarf comes in two different kind of scripts. You have the Davic kind of alphabet, which is like base core language, common language, kind of transference. But then you also have the runes of the dwarves, the more Dwagish, and that rune that you're looking at symbolizes the word either health or bear.
Health or bear? Look at Halo.
They're kind of the same kind of word.
So what do you think? Say it. Say it in the voice. So what do you Halo, my friend, what do you think? It says health or bear.
Personally, looks magical. I'm not gonna say it is or isn't, because really not magical artifacts aren't my expertise. It's not a religious artifact, I can tell you that. Personally, looks expensive and like someone will be missing it. If you want, we can take it with us to the town and leave it with the guard there. If you think it might serve, I can't imagine it serving the guard anymore. May he rest in peace and stay in the light. But of course, it could serve us if it is an amulet of health or an amulet of the bear. Both of those things sound good. No?
You bring up a good point. You make a good point. This makes me remember my adventure days and getting loot and stuff. But we digress. We must be going.
Real quick,
I
the
would
two of
like
you
to
go ahead
pull
and
the
make
body
perception
out of the
checks.
water.
Yeah, you pull the body.
I'd like to pull the
You start to do
body out of
that.
the water.
Go ahead and make perception checks, the two of you.
All right, we'll proceed.
Fuck.
Holy shit, we're so.
You can
in
have
transport
my-
with this stupid thing.
Yeah, I was going to
Have my
say if
inspiration.
you
Okay.
could use inspiration for
I
that.
could use mine if you guys want me
Oh,
to.
if you want to use yours, that
I'll
would
use
be
it.
good.
I'll use my inspiration.
Okay.
I got a 16 instead of a
So, with
natural
a-
one.
With a 16, what you would note is that there does appear to be the river's a pretty wide river. It's not a narrow thing. It's a couple of hundred, close to 3, maybe even 400 feet wide at this juncture, this bend. Across the way, there's kind of like a small kind of grouping of rocks that kind of rise up to a high point, just like the high that you came down. You kind of think you see something kind of move in the woods for a second. Halo, kind of look across there. And as you're kind of looking to that, you see that Leaf is looking at the water. And as you're kind of staring down at the waterway, you can see that bobbing in the water, maybe 100 or so feet out from where you're at, there are 3 humanoid figures that are kind of just floating, treading water, you presume, with bluish kind of skin. And it appears that they're kind of holding something under the water, and they're kind of looking at you with kind of yellowy, kind of almost fish-like eyes.
We need to know, is there like, what's the history of blue water creatures? Anything that we would know about? Should I roll history or something?
You can make a history check, that's fine.
Because I want to know if I would immediately be scared of these things, or would I think they're like sea elves or something. Hey, do you guys remember those like what were those things you used to buy as a kid?
You know all about them. They are what are known as trackless. They are part of the merfolk people. Trackless are kind of a nomadic tribe who kind of move up and down riverways, and they are typically seen as either very benevolent. One trackless that you remember from history, who kind of ruled out from the teachings of Nermod, was a very potent and powerful knight of the sea named. Can you finish the sentence?
Malik.
Dafer, and he was a great hero who did great things off to the far east. Yeah, the trackless merfolk are either seen as very benevolent or very mercantile, very self aggrandizing.
Self-serving?
Yeah, serving. That's the one I wanted.
Okay, so I guess I would say in
Do you keep trying to move the body?
common. Yeah, I was trying to at the time I was going to try to pull the body so it's not sitting in the water.
Okay, if you keep trying to do that, you see one of them kind of move its arm very quickly, and
Oh shit! They're attacking. Zigzag.
misses you. A spear comes flying out of the water from their position and slams into the body, kind of pinioning it to the ground. And then you can see that the other two are kind of raising their arms up with the spears up over their heads. What do? You can fly right now, by the way.
Yeah.
I-
Should we get out of here? I would guess
Zach is frozen.
Zach is frozen.
What?
You're
Look.
with your eyes closed.
That was funny.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm assuming I can see now the trackless out there that the
Yeah.
spears fucking landed next to us and fink,
So you would think so, but when you look over in that direction, the only thing you're seeing are the two hands kind of up over the spears.
Sorry,
You switched.
Yeah, Billy.
Everybody's probably out of
I
their spot.
screwed everything up.
It's not just a day at the beach, Andy.
Whoops. Back to reality.
Actually, not too bad. The only people I had to swap were you and Zach. So
Okay.
Fair enough.
So, Zach, what I want to know is what would you say? I think I would, when they start throwing spears, I would put my hands up and be in common, do not attack.
okay, if that's your response, Halo, do you have anything else?
No, he puts his hands up and I do the same. It's just okay.
Another spear comes
If they
lobbed
keep throwing, I'm
in your
flying
direction.
the hell out of there, though. Throw.
That one's gonna hit. Leaf. You're gonna
Of course,
take
I'm the
6 points of damage, and the third attack will.
Do these spears look like they would have caused the damage that you saw
No.
in the night? Okay, that's fine.
The third attack misses as well. It hits near the body, but not in it. So this one kind of, as it comes in, Leaf, you kind of move to the side and kind of bat at it with your arm, but it kind of moves down a bit harder than you were expecting. It doesn't catch you, it doesn't go into your body, but you feel it kind of brunt against you and kind of ding your shoulder and your hip. And you're kind of ah, and then whoosh up to the horse and onward.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna whoosh after that.
Halo, same.
Yeah.
Okay. So if he takes you with him, it'll be faster because you kind of have to go whoop, like that, and he can just go zoom.
Yeah.
Okay. That all made sense.
That does make perfect sense.
You get back on the horse and you ride. Okay, perfect. Zipping back to Kasari Yanwi. The other rolls that you rolled will mean that you'll get to Gerkulia just fine. I want to just sort out one last piece of admin with you two, though. Go ahead and the two of you go ahead and give me Constitution saving throws, and then one of you, either one, roll a d20.
All right, here's my saving throw. Oof,
You have
that's not so good.
2 levels of exhaustion. Leaf.
Can I? Oh, I was gonna cast Bless on us before we do that.
You're casting it for one. You're casting it for
Okay.
1 minute, and this is over
Okay.
a duration.
Okay, that's fair. I was. That's why I asked.
No worries.
Levels of exhaustion.
15.
Okay. You have no levels of exhaustion, Halo.
Where's the levels of exhaustion on this sheet? I don't see.
I don't know if it has it on there.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe it doesn't have them. I'll just keep a track over here or something.
You can add another one of those boxes on the right.
Well, Mouthpiece of Admin, does anybody
You're
put the
right.
ruined amulet on, or no?
Have it.
I'm not putting the amulet on. I don't
Not
know
that
what
crazy.
Evan is
Okay.
doing either, but we took it with us, I'm assuming.
Pocket it is. Okay, cool. Back to Kasari Yanwi. You are heading to speak to the mayor, right, Dan?
Yeah. Aramir.
Okay. Aramis, right. When you go to meet with him, he is not present where you normally would find him. And his attendants kind of tell you that he is on the south side of town, preparing to receive the reports from the temple scouts that went to the ruins. You head off in that direction, and you can see that he has a couple of individuals who have basically prepared themselves for more serious travel. It looks like they are basically farm folk who all look like they're ready to work. When Aramis sees you, he kind of walks over to you and says,
Equipment do they have?
just farm gear, lots of farm gear. He walks over to you and he says, Balthar sent you. Are you trying to get in on this as well?
I wish to be aware of the going-ons.
You
These
go
all-
by you go by sea, I go by land. Let's stick to what we know. And if Balthar's asking you if you want to set up some negotiations regarding trade for what he thinks is present, that's fine, but I will definitely need to have discussions with you regarding just normal ware and materials that we'll be transporting out of the ruins. I have some buyers of old stone that I know is present in Osnovel, and I need to have some ships move that stone that way. Iskar Yanwi was it more famously built from marble and another stone known as lapis lazuli, which I think that's what it's called. Maybe my brain's not working. Hold on, a
I
character.
think that's right. I think that's right.
Lazuli, that's right. Yeah, I was like, why? Yeah, he says it's a pretty rare in these parts, blue stone. That's very blue. But I'll definitely need that maneuvered to Osnovel, as I already have buyers present for that material. But if that is all, or if you had something else that you wanted to address, as you can see, I'm quite busy.
I just wish to know if there were any additional prospects, such as gold.
Yes, that's what Balthar is concerning himself with. He thinks that there is a mine present. I am not too certain, but he is planning on getting some adventurers to go that way. I have not had a chance to speak with the temple master or the representative of the temple, as one is missing, and the other is the leader of the survey team that went to the ruins proper. He should be returning within a few hours, hopefully. But once we have permission to move on the town with the rest of the people we've already sent forward and start building our prospects, I will be seeing to it that Balthar's individuals are allowed free reign over what they are looking for. Do you have anything that you're looking for in the town that you've heard about? Any rumors or whispers?
Character. This is where I can generate things if I want. Correct.
Sure, as long as it's not too lavishly crazy. Like a sort of ultimate sorcery resides within.
No. I'm looking for gunpowder. So saltpeter.
I think it might be possible that that's present in the town. I know that a lot of the old farmland might have changed over to just that. I will see what we can't do about acquiring the materials you seek.
Excellent.
You
Anything I can help you with, Aramis? Perhaps seeking favor with Halo?
do you have designs on making the firearms from the Mastiff Peninsula here in Elvish Lands?
I could see if a scribe of mine have them in their library, but not that I'm aware of. Something I would certainly see much value in.
It's fair, I suppose. We'll see what we can't do in harvesting that material, but I don't think it will be too much. And as you are, I'm sure you are aware, what with the suspicious nature of the Robtier Society, I have to ask. They haven't gotten to you, have they?
Haven't. Well, if they had, what do you think I'd tell you? Of course not.
Aramis' face is cold, stone cold, like serious. Good.
Yeah.
And to answer the hypothetical question, I have it upon your father's honor that if they were to get to you, you would tell me. And he says, I have a lot of pressing business to deal with. You can tell Aramis is the more serious, but he's also the nicest of the group. Balthar is the less serious, more jovial, but also like really engaged. And you are Dan Young. But
What is Dan?
what is Dan Young? Moving from that to Cyril and Alcantara, do you have anything throughout the remainder of this portion of the day before I get to the part where I tell you things happen?
I'm going to remind you that a while back I had sent through Quothus a note to Asher for Imgrind.
100% aware.
Okay,
Yeah, it was 2 days ago.
okay. I can't remember. That was like weeks and weeks ago in real time, so it's hard to
No worries.
keep track. Super. That's it.
Yeah, we skipped a
Unless-
session, and it didn't happen yesterday. It happened the day before.
Okay.
Maybe it was 3 days, but still, yeah, nothing back on that yet.
Got it. Matt? Anything?
First, what did I unmute?
Mm-hmm.
Not.
You just muted.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was
No
looking
worries.
at Discord and the green bubble wasn't going around the thing
No worries.
for some reason. Anyway, I mean, passively, I would have just like seen if I could find Ular,
Yeah, no luck.
but yeah, I wasn't expecting much. And then I'm trying to think if there's else. I mean, again, like part of me is thinking about the whole thing of like getting Alvin's help defending things, as he does like have ships, but
Yep.
I'm also expecting that would make more sense to wait till he's back. Why necessarily preoccupy him with too much for the time
Alright.
being?
Well,
So yeah, I can't think of anything.
if that's the case, you would be kind of milling through your daily business. Cyril probably at some point kind of comes down to kind of re-delegate the matters at hand, and Valesha returns back to you all and says, "Milady, Lady Eris Noddle has returned to Kasari Yanwi. She has entered through the portal. She has a contingent of Twilight Knights, and she is waiting at the barracks per my request for your presence there."
Ah, so she did return.
Wait, what portal did she return through?
The one that they set up.
The portal of the barracks.
Okay, okay.
Alright, I would head down there.
All right. Do you take
Am I
Cyril?
going?
Yeah, I take Cyril.
So on our way, Cyril would say, "Do you have a plan for when she presses you about the return of the schism creature?" I'm sorry. No, actually, scratch that. She might not know that at this point.
She probably doesn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't planning on.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. As you make your way back up to the barracks, you come to the place where the circle was drawn and laid out for the return of the Twilight Knights. You can see that in the number around her, there are some 25 of these Twilight Knights. She does not appear to be dressed for battle. She is wearing simple traveling garments, not too different from what she wore when you last saw her leaving the town. She sees you approach. She bows slightly like so.
Return.
She says, "Your captain is very diligent and very protective of your town, a property that I respect, but at the same time is slightly annoyed by. We are prepared to move on Nadrasi if it's been made ready.
Yes, we have come to an arrangement with them. The one issue at hand is they have made it to us that they wish to have certain objects removed from the island returned.
You mean to say the schism?
Are we in a like private area right now? While
Roll,
this is going on. Or...
roll an Arcana check real quick.
Could I do that? You mean Cyril?
Not you, Alcantara.
Okay.
I mean, it's okay. I've got a high intelligence and I have, you know,
Famous last
bardic
word.
things. Yeah, 12's not terrible.
You don't recognize what's going on. You definitely hear her say what she says, and you kind of start looking around suspiciously. Real quick note, Andy, you do not hear what she just said.
Oh, jeez.
Well,
She's communicating telepathically to.
Some
I'm guessing
form of telepathy.
message or
such.
something like that, yeah. But yeah, I just sort of like. So hold on a second though. If I'm hearing her in,
You don't realize that she's not talking.
She wouldn't notice her lips not moving.
I mean,
Or
again, yeah, it does look like her lips are moving, but to him, words are coming out. To Cyril, nothing's happening, and the lips aren't readable.
what the heck?
if I'm responding to Cyril, hear what I'm saying? Just out of this is, I'm still going to respond like normal, but
Okay, so what do you say in response?
I was just going to say, like, yes.
She nods. Cyril, you do not hear Alcantra's reply, but it does look like they
Whoa.
are saying something as well. Aristotle kind of looks to you and steps in closer and says, again, wordlessly to everyone else, she says, "If it is their desire that I return these items to them, then I shall do it. I will make way for home immediately to recover the articles in question. However, the mage that I have left them with will be slightly annoyed." She looks over to Cyril. "You." And you hear her say that, and everyone hears her say that. "You're coming with me." And she turns back towards the portal, and she looks back to you and stops for a second.
Lady Aristotle, really quickly, I did send, as we weren't entirely sure how long it would take for you to come through once you reach the capital, our good friend Leaf and Halo to bring you the news. They should be arriving within the next day with that couple of letters, some informing you of what I've already mentioned, other information that may be pertinent. If you wish to send the items back
You sent
with
Leaf through one of the main cities into the capital city, and are you secure enough in your respective Halo to make sure that he doesn't wander off, perform a show, and spend time in the company of merriment seekers?
I'm secure enough that Halo will be rein in our friend's enthusiasm.
She kind of nods. Fair enough. I will make sure that my attendant back at the capital is prepared to receive these individuals and send them back to you. However, for the time being, she looks over to Cyril, "You with me," and she looks to you. And then in the same tone that she said before, "You and you alone have command of this portal from this side. Speak the words, 'I seek guidance,' in Sylvan." And she says the words again in Sylvan, so that you know them at least if you don't speak Sylvan. "While standing upon this portal, and you and any of your choosing may teleport from this position to the teleportation circle in the capital." Do you understand what I've said?
I do.
She nods. She looks back to Cyril. "Come."
Come, dog.
She stands on the circle with Cyril, and she says,
So wait. Cyril's not going to go anywhere without looking at Alcantara.
I would just sort of like nod to him, like, go on.
"Bye."
I
I understand, but like, that's the way he's going to roll.
Fair enough. You stand on the circle with Lady Aristotle. She says something in Sylvan rather, and the two of you vanish. The Twilight Knight leader looks to Lady Alcantara and says, "My lady," drops to a knee, stands back up very quickly. "We are prepared to head towards the Nadrasi Isle. Lady Valesha here has already told us of the defenses that you have on this side of the bridge. We will make our way with due haste. If you wish, I can leave 5 of my 25 here with you to help secure the side of the bridge as well. If you do not desire this assistance, we would greatly appreciate the forces on the isle as well. However, I understand that a good back-falling foot to a safe location is much better than a strong foot forward."
I believe that our sorry, this is me being tired and just
No worries. We're about. I'm pretty much trying to get us to a wind down point. So
no. I believe that our forces here should be able to handle our own defenses, Captain. And I just sort of like leave that hanging. Like, what's your name?
And we'll cover that next session. But let me go ahead and get to the other people and finish them out real quick. During the evening of that day, you, Leaf, and Halo arrive. But before that, during the mid-afternoon portion of it, you appear in the capital city. Now, what you're seeing when you appear on this teleportation circle is a very vast open hall. And it seems that the walls are literally just trees that have kind of been grown up to root to kind of come to a point where all the trunks kind of connect at a center point, and then their branches kind of blossom out and interweave with one another like a knit kind of mesh above you. Basically like a bunch of trees hugging one another at their tops and kind of creating a roof over top of you. And it seems that they have a split at one point directly in front of you, and a couple of other smaller splits that are kind of passageways that lead off into other sections of what you assume to be a very massive building. And thinking about it, you've actually been in this building before. This is the Savarius kind of study. This is the Ellen Shea Enclave's Academy for the Arcane Arts. Aristotle very quickly starts moving towards a specific pathway, and she does not seem to look back to you to expectantly look at you to follow.
And
Do you follow?
yeah, clearly. I
All
mean,
right, fair enough. She leads
like
you.
a dog on a leash, I'll follow.
She leads you to an old study, and she opens up the door. Inside, you see two people sitting at a table. Looks like they have cups of tea and a bunch of notes. A lot of them looking very familiar, kind of sitting out on a table. When they turn to look at you, you see that the elf looks familiar. You think you might have had him as a teacher during like early kind of studies in school here. And the human, the other individual, very old, very just raggedy looking beard. His attire looks, decent in fashion, but it definitely looks like the head and the face don't really match the outfit. It's like someone, found like a hilljack kind of person, a mountain man, and shoved him into fine robes. And the two of them kind of look to you, and the elf says, "And you are Cyril. You're the crafter of these notes, and your father before you?"
That's right.
Ah.
And you are?
I am Melon. And this is my associate, Frederick. Frederick kind of looks at you. So it was you who have deciphered most of these notes here. You who have studied very deeply into the ancient ones. Appearance and methodologies. Very strange. You seem so young, but there must be a very gifted mind behind those eyes to have unearthed this matter. Malin kind of looks to him and says, "Do not tip your hand too far, Frederick." Frederick says, "Oh, we're all scholars here. There should be no secrets among us. Knowledge is nothing if it is put on bookshelves and left there to gather dust. Do you not agree?"
Indeed, so what have you learned from your study of the notes?
Oh, not terribly much. That's why we had her bring you here. Aristotle looks to you and like walks over to the table, grabs up the 2 articles in question. You see Malin go, What are you doing?" And then Frederick goes, "I figured that was the case. They want them back, don't they?" Aristotle kind of turns and walks out the door, shuts the door with kind of a slam behind her. Frederick goes, "So have you met with the Nadrasi? Are they still the same type of folk as I recall them being from some ages ago? Are they still protecting us from the ancient? Or by your notes, you call them the schism too, do you not?"
Well, I've heard that they're called Ancient Ones or even Dark Notes.
Yes. As I saw in your notes, it seems that you are very, very memorable, memory-minded. Very good. Your father, what of him? Is he still about?
And out of character, I don't know, right? He's disappeared?
Last
Yeah.
place you know he went was Darkhelm.
Yeah, so I would say that.
Well, that is unfortunate. Malin kind of says, to the Adamant Isles, are there... I guess they would be there as well. Yes, the dwarfs do say they have a problem with them inside of the Eye of the Earth, so that does not strike me as too untoward. If we were capable of assisting you in a matter of finding your father, do you think it would bring us more knowledge, or more questions that needed answers?
I suspect it would be some of both.
I don't really have the desire for more questions, so we'll keep it to you. We'll require your assistance in deciphering some of these notes here. We'll get to the details of the matter here in short order. Pours you a cup of tea and kind of slides it over to you as the engagement of the dialogue begins. And then Leaf and Halo, you enter into the capital. You can see the massive academy building, which is a large grouping of trees kind of grown together. Go ahead.
I just don't want to skip something. I know we wanted to stop at this town that you said was here.
Sure.
Mentioned,
Sorry, thank you.
We don't need to RP it, but like we wanted to stop there and mention we found the body on the road, so that way their town or they could send out guard.
They'll send someone out. They'll send out
Like,
a Dawn
I just
Knight.
don't want to skip that thought.
You're
And-
right. It mentioned the track list.
Yeah.
Just so they know.
They will
Exactly.
investigate that. Do you give them the amulet or no?
What amulet?
Good question.
Right, Halo?
Of course.
So you arrive at the capital.
It's his moral decision to make.
You make your way to the council building because that's where you presume Lady Aristotle would be.
Right.
And out of character note,
Yeah.
for the lead into next session, you two will basically be locked in kind of a slight bureaucracy to get to the academy where it is known the teleportation circle is present. That said, what we will be doing at the beginning of next session is starting with the next day. So Leaf and Halo, during that initial purpose of trying to get in, they're basically like, we'll give you room and board and succor if you wish, like food and sustenance in the meantime. But as a matter at hand, because you've come so late in the evening, we would prefer it if you would rest and we deal with this in the morning at first light. That said, with the rest, you will remove one of your 2 levels of exhaustion for next session. Keep that in mind. You will be tired tomorrow, Leaf, and Halo, you're fine. And we'll pick up from there next week.
Before we break up, I do want to ask Leaf. I have family in the city here, so we will eat dinner, I assume, on the palace dime, and then I will head back to my family and offer to introduce him to the people I know in the capital.
If you
I'm
want,
gonna meet his parents.
if you want, go ahead and send me some information about your family,
And we can. Do you want to do that at the beginning of next session?
and we'll start with that instead.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll discuss that. But yeah, if Leaf wants to come with me to meet my family in the capital, and yeah, we can talk about them, John.
Sounds good. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and kill the stream. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.